One make the little.
We'll make it.
This is on.
That little.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right, it's now 6 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everybody to the July 2nd, 2026 Town of Greensboro Town Council Workshop meeting. If you would please rise to join saluting the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Yes. So the first one you've got up is the rental fee update. So for this, we wrote this policy back in 24-R-01. It's February the 1st of 2024. Since then, we have done a resolution for the dredge permitting, but we did not set a fee for that, so we need to discuss that tonight. And then we also have the rental inspections where we have now contracted that out, and we need to see about increasing that to cover the cost.
What is bridge? What is that?
That's where we said that somebody coming into town that was going to dig in their streets, that they had to get a permit.
We don't have one now for it, right?
We do not have a fee set for that. So we've had people coming in and getting a permit, but it's been free. So I don't know if you want to leave it at free or if you want to impose a fee.
Well, if we charge everybody else for permits, then we should charge them as well.
So I just need a discussion. Jamie and I sat down and did some comparison. Everywhere else charges about $50. I mean, I don't know if that seems extreme.
Is that the average that everybody else is doing?
Correct.
I don't have a problem with that. We're consistent.
Well, I mean, $50 covers the cost of us looking the permit over, filing it on the yards.
Correct.
All right, so is the council okay with having her prepare a resolution to change the fee or institute the fee for that?
I'm fine with that.
I'm not understanding what it is.
So if you remembered a few months ago, we did, I don't know if it was a resolution or an ordinance, where we required any contractor coming into town that would be digging in our streets to get a permit so that we knew that they were here digging. Yes.
Okay.
Like if they build a house and they need to tear up the street to get to the water
Think
main.
of that water main thing where they,
Right.
the contractor or somebody half-ass patched it.
Correct.
We ended up with problems.
Correct.
How's that on Sunset?
Sunset, correct.
Yeah, there should be.
Or what is the second one?
So the second one is for the rental inspection fees. For that one, I think that's what I had here, I'm sorry.
Page 2.
Yeah, that was the resolution that I gave you. So that one currently, we're charging $125, but then we decided to contract that out. And for that, the fees for the contractor should be $200 instead of $125 to cover that cost.
Yeah, because isn't it $100 per inspection?
$125 that we're charging now, but
One
since
towel.
correct, and then he's
Correct.
charging, yeah. So to cover our costs, we're saying $200. At least that's what the recommendation is in comparing to other municipalities.
Well,
We're going to pass it on to the renter.
But I mean, that's consistent with this single family, the 2023 schedule shows single family 151 plus 78 for each additional room after the initial 3 rooms. So I mean, when you do the math,
Right.
it's cheap.
Right.
Okay.
So I can have an ordinance prepared for that as well.
Any other discussion on that?
No.
All right.
So you said $50 for excavation and $200 for rental.
Correct.
Correct. I'll send that your way to draft, Jen. Okay, I want to jump down to the bottom where it says tower lease agreement. And this is the agreement that was done up and checked by legal. And this is for Talkie. Remember, Talkie came in, they're going to be providing internet service to the town. But we needed to have an agreement for the water tower lease. So I just wanted you all to look over that. See if you had any questions or any concerns regarding that before we move forward. Should be in the back.
It's in the back.
In the back.
Yeah. It looked like a pretty standard lease agreement to me.
It is, but I just wanted you all to look at
I
it
mean,
before
it's
we...
consistent with the other ones. that we-
It is.
So unless somebody has any questions on that,
Well, they passed one.
we'll bring that up to the meeting.
Yeah, it'll come up to the July 16th meeting for a vote. I just wanted to make sure there was no concerns or any additional questions.
Okay. All right, so do you want to walk us through these policies? Because you said that
Yes.
you had thought maybe we could condense some of them.
Correct. Correct. So the budget amendment and transfer policy, this one actually can be covered under our charter. There's actually a section in our charter. So what we can do is when we go through and update that section in our charter, we can add this to update it. I don't know if you're looking at the comments that Jen had made on this, where, so just adding the charter section for transfer of funds, and then already addressed in the charter section 608, transfer of funds. So some of this is already addressed in the charter, and we can just update it there.
I'm not sure what you're looking for by saying anything, so,
Well, like she said, this is all the stuff
yeah,
that
does
Jen's...
anybody want to discuss this any further?
No, I don't.
Yeah, because what I could do then is just tag this in for the charter review when we bring those back up, and then we can update it in the charter with the updates that we
I mean,
need.
I have no problem with it. What she made suggestions for looked good to me, so...
There were a lot of definition and thresholds and supporting documents. I don't know, I don't want to recreate the wheel with what I emailed, but there was a lot of things that were notated.
Yeah, internal controls and audit compliances, and it's pretty much best practices is what you had sent over. Like I said, I think we can clean this up and put it in the charter instead of having a separate policy. And I'll just add this to our charter file, if that's okay.
Based on the footnotes, that's what legal recommends anyway.
Correct.
And I'm sure pretty much every town's charter is close to being the same amount of wording and things, so I don't have a problem with it. Add it.
Okay, let's see the next one here. So the next one I have is the certificate of insurance policy. This is something we do not have, and we do need to draft this policy. I will say that Jen did recommend that the contractor safety policy be incorporated into the certificate of insurance policy, so we can add these two together as one.
So are we just discussing adding things together and then we'll review them once they
Yeah,
happen?
we can review this now. Yeah, we can review them.
So the current vendors that we have, for example, Hawkins, we're not requiring them to provide a certificate of insurance or anything.
We do, but we don't have a policy indicating what needs to be on there and what's required, and I think that's important for us to do. Like I said, that was one of the things that Legit said we needed to really concentrate on, and making sure that we've got a certificate of insurance that's completely filled out. You're looking at the aggregate amount, you're making sure that there's not been any claims already filed against that would reduce that aggregate amount.
Well, anybody working in the town, even a subcontractor having come out, should have proof of COIs for this, so, yeah.
So I think this is an important policy that we definitely need, and just to make sure that we are checking all the boxes.
So I noticed that in here, this includes event organizers conducting, working, or holding events on town property, correct?
Yeah, if we've got anybody coming in here to work on behalf of the town, they need to provide an
This
insurance
doesn't
certificate.
apply to the town recognized, like the ones that we...
No, because we automatically get those certificate of insurance just to cover us.
So if somebody wanted to come in and use the old carnival grounds down there and hold an event that we have nothing to do with, they just want to use our property and have an event, then this would be the insurance
Correct.
liability that they would have.
So they don't come back
Correct.
to us.
Correct. But this is also deals with any contractor doing any work for us as well.
Correct.
Correct.
So are there definitions in here as to what constitutes a personal event versus just residents gathering in a public park?
That's in the other one, because it says people 100 or more, I think.
That is in
This is
the,
the special events policy. One of them
Yes.
has a
Yes.
magic number.
yeah, that's the long one.
Yeah, I did read that in one of them.
So what are you asking,
So this is-
that there would be additional language to define who we are talking about?
Yeah.
There's so many different revisions that I sent over, and I didn't include general, but I just forwarded them to you as well. It's a lot to go through, so I'm a little bit confused if we're just talking about having policies added to the charter, or are we talking about having them added as they are?
No, so my recommendation is that some of these ones that can be added to the charter, we just put them aside and agree to put them in the charter. And then when we come up to revise that charter, then we can discuss and add them in and discuss the language. But the ones that we know we need policies on, like this one, we do need to discuss what needs to be in them.
So what you're saying is that these policies that you sent out are ones that we do not currently have, that you're suggesting that we have?
Correct.
Some of the ones that you suggested that we have out of these could be incorporated in the charter.
Correct, and
But
that's,
if not, then they would stand on their own as a standard operating procedure, general order, or
So those would,
some other language.
the ones that would stand on their own, we would pass via resolution. And then the charter amendments, they have their own separate process for being passed. So we would include those. And everything that I think that I flagged for charter amendments are charter sections that we have not yet discussed as through the charter amendment process.
so this would give us the availability to update them in the charter and have language changed at that point, instead of making a policy and then it's also in the charter.
So it's just a discussion about adding them.
Correct.
Okay.
For those, and then we'll bring that back up when we review those sections in the charter.
Right, and we're going to combine, you said, the certificates of insurance and the special events?
So the,
Contractor safety was my
Yes,
recommendation.
correct.
To combine with certificate.
yes.
If they're just above the tower.
So the contractor safety policy and the certificate of insurance policy, she recommended we put these together as one policy.
Okay?
So,
So if I can just say something, I agree with the mayor, is that I don't understand why we didn't narrow off another town in regards to the policies that were already written. It would save us money to the attorney, and plus, I mean, we already have these policies in other towns. I don't know why we didn't narrow them,
And save review time.
save review time.
well, sometimes you don't get responses back from towns in a timely fashion. And like I said, when I went to MML, I just felt like this was things that caught my eye that we did need to get done. So, like I said, totally up to you all. I'll be more than happy. Like I said, I've already reached out and spoke with Abby, but I don't know how quickly I can get their policies.
I feel like we're spinning a lot of wheels here without a workable policy.
But if we don't have the policy, then we have to make one. I mean, we have to design one, so.
Well, having written thousands of policies in my career, I think you have to start somewhere to get through a policy. And then it takes a lot of time to get through it. And that's why I kind of mentioned before, like with Joe, that there has to be through Denton, Caroline County, Easton, Cambridge, those bigger municipalities where they have, you know, the employees and the ability to write these policies. I'm sure most of them have them, and I suspect most of them are online that we could, you know, take a look at and emulate some of those policies and help flush out some of the things that we want to do and adapt it to what we've got. Because, you know, as I discussed with you earlier today, these that you wrote, I mean, you wrote them because you feel there's a need. We don't have them, should have them, we need to get them in as fast as we can. But I also see all the notes that were sent to the rest of us by Kim, I guess, and it looks like she got them off the computer, most of them. But there was a lot of meat in there that we need to flesh out and maybe put into there. So, you know,
I'll be more than happy to reach out. I just don't know the timeline, but that's fine. We can bring this back for another discussion, another workshop, hopefully next month. And I'll reach out and see if I can get it. Not all policies are online, just so you know. I have looked and researched a lot of that, but I'll be, like I said, I spoke with Abby yesterday, and she said she would send me what she had. I can check to see what Fettlesburg or Preston and
I mean,
Richmond.
if you just get that at least there's something to look at. It's a
Sure.
start.
Are there policies included in their charter?
I don't know if...
The charter is like the Constitution.
Okay.
The charter is more of an umbrella guidance.
Like the
Piece
law
for-
versus,
Right, the policies, you all can decide how you want to treat certain things. My review was making sure what is proposed is not against the law, but also trying to be efficient with combining and, say, your special events policy, set up a permit, that kind of thing. I did look at what Federalsburg had because I have access to that, but Cindy's right, policies, because they are more guidance for how the town administratively functions, are not always available the way a code and a charter are online.
I think that it will flow faster if you and I and anybody else on the council that wants to work with these projects, to go through these and come back with something that has a little more meat into it, and then the council can take a look at it, because these are fairly skeletal
yeah.
policies.
Well, but that was the whole point, is to produce something and get the conversation rolling. I mean, Kim had sent some things in, you know, for you all
Well, I
to
think the
look at.
council was under the impression tonight that you wanted to approve these.
No, this was for discussion only, to get these
Or like it was a
these
working document.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of what I was under the
Yep.
impression, that it was supposed to be a working document.
So not to jump around, but the only question I really had in reviewing these, because they're pretty like cookie cutter language, and Jen come in and did her thing, is under the volunteer management policy. I have no problem with background investigation, that's a standard policy and everything else. But does that hit our workman's comp if they get injured?
It can. That's why you have to look at, there's a checklist with, anytime we do an event, on making sure we've got coverage for everything. I can tell you, if we're putting the event on, we reach out to Legit. Legit asks a lot of questions on who's going to be there, what volunteers are going to be there.
Yeah, this is pretty standard. This is what the county does with all their volunteers for Parks and Rec. But I don't know if a volunteer working the event, if they get injured, twist an ankle or something, does that fall under the county's workman's comp, or how is that handled?
I'm thinking it falls under ours because they're a volunteer for our event.
Well, that's what I meant, whoever's event it is. But
So I can tell you, for an example, the paving contractor that we just got, did a contract for, we requested a COI and their workers' comp. So we have to show proof that they've got that. I think in the past we were not
Our
doing
rates are
that.
based on the number of claims. So if you have a bunch of volunteers and they get hurt, it's unforeseen, but the number of claims that we have against us is how our rates control.
Correct.
So if we can control the number of claims, it lessens our costs.
It does. Absolutely.
You can build into the special events policy, and should, that anyone who wants to hold an event provides their own insurance coverage, so that the town is not liable. It would only be for volunteers.
I'm worried about like his basketball program or stuff like that we actually sponsor. Stuff like that. That's all I was wondering.
Well, again, I go back to Pete. So when you look at the front page of this, it talks about it applies to fishing derby, kids in the park, holiday events, which are all, the way I look at it, are town-sponsored events. And then it says any event held on town property. And I think that we need to separate the two. That if somebody outside organization is going to hold an event in town, then we need to make them do a lot of this work.
Okay.
But for the fishing derby, the kids in the park, and those kinds of things. I don't know that we need all of that. And my question would be like, all right, so every volunteer that comes, they have to do a background check?
No,
So
no.
where's the differentiation
Yeah.
between those that do it, if they're by the kids, with the
Yeah.
kids by themselves? Is that, unsupervised, that's when they have to
Youth.
check?
Youth.
If they're engaging with youth, then they should have a background check.
I just think that if we're gonna have a special events policy, we should have two different, one for outside and one for inside.
Sure.
Talk
It
about-
it may end up working that way between your volunteer management policy, which it might be, we can reframe to say, you're a volunteer for the town, you fall under this volunteer management
That's
policy, you
where the-
provide this information. Special events policy can be anyone who wants to use town property to apply for an event needs a special event permit, and then they need to show that they have all the insurance coverage that they need, that they have the emergency plan, that they have an evacuation plan, all that.
I just wanted to ask, because it's gonna come up, like, most recently, it was the fishing derby, so we had volunteers doing the checking of the fish, so if you ask those people that they have to have a background check and all of that, nobody's gonna volunteer.
And I think that one of my notes too with the special events policy was to incorporate that with the hold harmless,
Right.
to combine them.
Well, I think there's, it says it on there, I saw, yeah, special events under insurance requirements. There's a hold harmless agreement that's mentioned.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
There are overlaps in the original drafts, and that's why my comments are, recommend we combine this with this, recommend you separate out event organizers from contractors.
And address cleanup after events. Oh, and the volunteer, was it the volunteer policy I saw like asking a bunch of health-related
Yes.
questions?
It does.
Is that a violation of privacy, HIPAA? Ask all that?
Well,
I don't think it's a violation of HIPAA the way it's passed. I think it's on the emergency contact.
You can ask someone for their information, that's
Yeah.
not a HIPAA violation. It would be a HIPAA violation
If we shared it.
if you shared it, and that's why it says this information will remain confidential unless an
Yeah, it's
EMT
on the-
arrives
it's
and
on
they
the-
want to
it's on the
know,
emergency
this
contact.
child's unconscious, do they have any allergies? Let me look at my paper.
I think I'm not sure, but one of my comments was that it didn't specify who would hold that information.
all right, so, to keep on track, can we just stay in order, not jump around to different policies?
Sure. Well, do you want to still go through these, or do you want me to get other towns that you can compare to?
Compare.
I think we need to look at
If that'll make it
What does
easy
the
for you.
council want to do?
I think we need to compare it.
And there's no need to reinvent the wheel. If somebody else has got one that's working, then we should at least look at it and see if we can
If we have to
adapt
tweak
it
things.
adapt it to our needs.
We can tweak it for our needs, but
Okay?
it. And when we do that, can we take a couple at a time?
Yeah, sorry.
So, if you
I
have
was a little
any,
overzealous trying to get that all
if you
done.
have any questions about the rest of these, let her know ahead of
Yeah.
time, because for one, I know you had something about the volunteer.
Yeah, I've
And,
got the comments here
one that
too.
I had was the emergency operations, isn't that really our COOP plan?
Yep.
Your what?
The
It's
COOP,
basically part of
coordination of operations
Oh,
procedure, wouldn't that be covered?
part of
in-
our emergency plan that we have already? The look.
Most of that should fall under that.
I didn't know that you had one. I was just responding to the request to review policies.
We do have one.
Okay.
And,
We have one
I-
anyway.
Yeah, I think it might need updating.
and the
But
only
we
other-
stole it from the county.
Yeah, the only other note I had was on the events policy, special events policies for outside. Based on the number of people, will depend on what resources have to be available. So there has to be the emergency plan, you may have to actually do like, if you've got over 100 people coming to town for an event, that's pretty much like having a triathlon in Cambridge. You got to have special events, special resources available. So you almost need an operational, a daily operational plan. Smaller numbers are an issue.
All right, well, I'll follow up and send the list of these to Abby, just to follow up to see if she can send me all that they have regarding this.
Some of them they might not have, we may have to just plow through on our own.
Well, I'll put the request out to several towns just to see if anybody else has them, and then we can follow up.
And then if we
Might
have
be able to
Civic
pull
Plus,
from different ones.
Yeah.
and then with Civic Plus, if you use that app, that software, it should show you what the best practices for everybody that's on Civic
Yeah,
Plus.
absolutely.
It's all on there.
Definitely want to do best practice, so. Okay.
Well, that made short work of it then.
Yeah.
Well, there's no need to sit here and beat ourselves to death, and we should be more practical and have, compared to an actual document that's already in place.
Yeah, because then we can review the document and make any suggestions of it.
But I will say, there's some of these that I read that I never would have thought of reading, so.
These were just recommendations, so, like I said, when I attended MML, some of the sessions, one of them was a very long one for legit, and then another one that had the workers' compensation information about what was needed and what you needed for your audits. And I literally wrote them all down, and then came back and started searching to see if we had the policies or procedures and could find them.
Speaking of which, in that conference class, they also touched about, in the legit one, about having contractors that are licensed doing work in the municipal buildings. Were you in there for that one? Okay. So that might be something that we want to address from a risk standpoint too.
There was, I think I did like 30 of these, so I've not brought them all. I brought what I thought we could get through, but it really was too much, so. But I do have more that we drafted, but I'll wait and see what the other towns have got and do a comparison and then bring them back.
They gave like an example of like having public works, if you're not a licensed contractor, doing the work. They gave an example one time how they did work in a municipal building. They had sheetrock on the ceiling. They used screws that were a half inch too short. Came in the next morning and all the drywall was on the floor. Fortunately, nobody had been in the building, but that they were stressing the importance of licensed contractors doing the building.
Yeah, we have a checklist now that we use for all contractors to make sure that we've got everything that's needed.
Well, I didn't read, most of these that I went through, and I read through all of them, and I went through all of Kim's notes. And I think all of them, we need to touch on at one point or another. Some of them can blend into one another, but, you know, when we start talking about, you know, people driving our vehicles, you know, there's a lot of questions about that.
And
somebody should have
that's a
an
big
accident,
concern because
there
we need to
should be
make, yeah.
You know, who's going to invest? There's a
Correct.
lot of questions that go into that.
And backups.
And that's not something that we have right now. I mean, we don't have any kind of safety check when it comes to those vehicles. And also, who can drive our vehicles?
And that's a very real possibility.
And who can be in the vehicle.
Exactly. So that is one of the things that we definitely need to address.
Yeah, you don't want somebody driving your car and you find out later on after they had an accident they were revoked.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Exactly.
And driving records, pulling driving
Yeah.
records like once a year. Once
Yeah,
every
legit
6 months.
usually says you just go randomly like Andy. He usually has you do
Should be 6 months, some major can happen in 6 months.
Well, like I said, that's something that, you know, we can make sure the police department runs those
to do
checks.
some of that, and the vehicle policies for, like, to take them vehicles and stuff, that, and if you fail to report that you have a speed violation, then you're further for you to go. So some of that is in vehicle policy.
So how does it work, like, just let me throw an example out there, like, what if you get pulled over and for a DUI, but you haven't been to court to be proven guilty? Do you have to report that when the incident occurs, or do you have to report that once you've been found guilty or innocent?
You probably have to report, it depends. So if you're charged with DUI and your ability to drive is restricted, then would have to report it. Most of the time now, most of those laws do require you don't drive certain times or whatever. Once you've been charged, now once you've been convicted, it's a whole different animal. But for, you know, if somebody gets a speeding ticket, that wouldn't necessarily be something they need to tell us right away until they're convicted, because it would impact their insurance, unless they were driving a town vehicle and got a speeding ticket, then they should. But all that should be spelled out in your policy.
Correct. I agree.
And then I think one of the other major points I had was the backup. So like for the accidents and for the risk management, I know a lot of it fell to you, and if you happen to be involved, then who does it go to?
It goes to Jamie.
Okay.
Jamie is the deputy
So
town
I
manager,
guess
so it would
it
go to
should be
her.
spelled out that
Yeah.
who that.
She's always my backup. She has full knowledge and full disclosure of everything.
I mean, there's a whole reporting,
There is.
there's a lot to
I just feel
Chain
like it
of
should be
command.
spelled out in the policy.
Chain of command. is what it
Chain
is.
of command, correct. Okay.
The only other footnote I have is, do you have a safety committee? Because I noticed you have a safety inspection. So are you forming a small safety committee, like somebody from Public Works, somebody from the police department, and somebody from the office, and the three of them do the inspections together?
Well, that was one of the notes, who would do the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the
what
inspections.
qualifications do
That's
they
what the
have to
county
do
used to do, remember?
Yeah,
Pick
they had
somebody from
committees
each
going around,
department.
yeah,
Right.
check fire extinguisher there.
Speaking of committees, have we made any leeway with the committees for like, that people have brought forward about the finance or, trying to think of some other ones, like the citations, any of that? Have we had any work done on those yet?
So the citations, we asked for committee members, no one volunteered. We put that on Facebook, we announced it here in the meeting, and so forth. There's been nothing said and done yet about any kind of finance committee. I don't know what they would be able to look at.
So do they need to submit an actual proposal then? Or just email and inquire about what they need to do to do that?
I think we would have to look at that and figure out what that committee would be responsible for and what they could have access to.
Bringing in access, so how do we limit or restrict one of our financial records we put on social media? Because this is like the second or third time we've been hacked from the bank, and our account numbers are all sitting on social media. Can we prevent that?
You were hacked from the bank?
Yeah, we've gotten hit, our bank account's been compromised.
Okay.
It just happened last week, so we've been hit now 4 different times with somebody trying to reproduce one of our checks. That's happened twice. One was for $6,000, another one was for almost $19,000, and then we've had other accounts trying to pull out electronically from our bank accounts. So we have put in positive pay. That's something that the bank offers. We have to pay $75 a month for that, but we have to submit to them what checks we have written or anything that is being auto-debited from our account, like our USDA loans, and we have to approve them on a daily basis.
Was it a breach here or was it a breach at the bank?
It wasn't a breach at the bank.
So somehow
It was here.
your systems were hacked?
Yes.
It's not unusual.
Well, what Pete's talking about, there have been some PIA requests that have been put on Facebook that include all of our accounts and have some account numbers, different things on there that is concerning. And don't know if it has anything to do with being hacked or not, but when that type of information is circulating.
Right, the account numbers should be redacted, but
They are. I mean, the bank statements are like 22 pages long, so we do redact, but there might be sometimes they get missed because you have to redact each check too that shows up on the bank statements. You have to redact the signatures because you don't want that reproduced. So there's a lot of redaction that has to go into those bank statements for that purpose.
But anybody you write a check to has your account number. Because it's on your checks. So,
All right.
And cyber hackers don't need numbers.
All right, so anything else from me?
Unless the council has something.
I say we adjourn until we have more information to discuss.
I'm on vacation starting as soon as we end. I'll be back on Monday, July the 13th. Hopefully by then I will have some additional policies that we can take a look at and then put on for August, if that's
So
okay.
if you have any issues that you need somebody to talk to Jamie,
Jamie, yes, reach out to Jamie for anything.
does that sound like a motion, Pete?
It was a motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed, we're out of here.
Thank you.
6:35.
Pete,
Enjoy your vacation.
a lot of workmen's comp, a lot of work,